In 1717, at the age of 32, he moved to the princely court at Curtin as musical director. Here, Bach was concerned chiefly with chamber and orchestral music, and once described the years at Curtin as the happiest in his life. It was here that he revolutionized the development of keyboard music with his composition of the Well-Tempered Clavier, a collection of 24 preludes and fugues written, as he inscribed on the title page, for the profit of the musical youth desirous of learning.
The Well-Tempered Clavier was written in response to a change in tuning. What had happened up until this time was that the keyboards were tuned precisely in thirds and fifths, which meant that they were marvellous as long as you were playing in a very limited range of keys. And if you look at early works by William Byrd, for example, most of them seem to be in C major, and they make up for this by having fantastic variations. What happened with well-tempered tuning was, it was essentially a compromise. You tune in octaves, and in between the octave you would divide into 12 semitones, which meant that nothing was exactly right, but it was bearable to play in every single key for the first time. And so Bach set about this fantastically ambitious scheme of writing preludes and fugues in every single key, which I don't think had ever been done before. But it meant that you, instead of just writing in C major or C minor, G major or G minor, you were suddenly writing in keys as obscure as E flat minor or B flat minor. I mean, this is really new. So he started with the first book, with the C major prelude, and then he moved from that to C minor, so you'd have, and then he would move up to a really new key, C sharp major, you know? So you were going step by step, up, 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 and writing fugues also in all these keys.
Mozart and Beethoven and Chopin and Schumann, they played this music every day. And much later, Bartók and Pablo Casals too. And it is, as they said, the Old Testament of music. And I feel very much the same. I play the Well-Tempered Clavier every day of my life. And just 2 or 4 or 6 preludes and fugues every day, different ones. And it's a wonderful way to start the day. It's like taking a shower and cleansing yourself. It's something so pure to the spirit and the soul, and even physically I don't have to do stupid pianistic exercises which are a waste of time, because this gives you all the sensation of movements when you play a movement like it gives you all the feeling of dexterity, and you feel like dancing and bouncing, and you are happy to be alive.
The bass of Bach are fantastic. If you take the G string, it's very simple, but it is already jazzy, because you have the bass coming up and down, and there is a singing bass. It's not only a bass which plays the bass note. This is singing. If you forget about the theme of the G string, you have the bass. You have. It follows. Never stops. Always continuing. And this is one of the particularities of Bach music. There is no part which are not interesting by itself. Even alone, if I just play that alone, without the thing, it's interesting. Everything has got value. And so on.
There wasn't really much difference at that time between a performer and a composer. If you performed, you also composed. And Bach, this music taught you how to compose and showed you what the possibilities were. And that's in fact the way it was used for a century after his death. Mozart, Beethoven, Schumann, Chopin, Weber, Liszt, all of them learned how to compose by playing Bach on the piano.
In May 1720, when he was 35, Bach accompanied Prince Leopold to Karlsbad, leaving his wife to look after their 4 surviving children. When he returned in July, he learned that Maria Barbara had fallen ill and died, possibly as a result of her 7th pregnancy, and had already been buried. The news only reached him when he entered his own house. She was 35 years old. A widower with 4 young children, Bach could not live alone for long. The following year, on December the 3rd, 1721, Bach married Anna Magdalena Wilke, the daughter of a court trumpeter and a fine soprano. The marriage combined both romantic and musical fulfillment and lasted 29 years.
We need to think of a rather dynamic relationship. There must have been quite a bit of give and take among 2 professional musicians. Anna Magdalena as the singer who had considerable professional experience. And she might have told her husband off and on, this is unsingable, or, I'd like the melody to go this way rather than that way, and he would then respond. I think Bach is a musician who tried to bring out the best in his companions and in his colleagues.
Well, Bach had the reputation in his time, in fact still does, of having written enormously difficult music. He himself described his music as incomparably more difficult than that of his contemporaries. And it was. When he writes music for voices or even for wind instruments, he almost forgets that these players and singers have to breathe at times. He simply forgets about it, and he has an unbroken, continuous musical line for these performers and forgets about the practical necessities.
Laura